Howdy everyone, it's VDK Daigo here, and today I've been seeing a lot of people being super confused about this card, so I felt the need to talk about it as your resident player of it. Today we're talking about food chain. So, you've all heard the phrase, food chain wins games, but why is it that food chain wins games? Food chain wins games because it stands as the best worst win condition in the entire format. It's not going to outpace, well, depending on your card value, like, on average, it's not going to outpace Turbo Nas decks, although it can fit into a Turbo Nas deck. It's not going to beat out Breach decks because it's just a bit too slow. It is almost always the one turn slowest deck in terms of getting to its win conditions present. However, here's where it actually inherently shines. It is so hard to deal with food chain in all of the top colors, it's insane. What are you going to do, exile food chain? You can't really do that unless you're in green, and maybe a couple cards in black that don't see cEDH play. You have a really hard time destroying it in all of the top colors of blue, black, and red. And white, but because nobody runs disenchant. And they don't really print a lot of like destroy target enchantment or artifact cards in those colors. So the only real colors that address food chain are green. And then all of the food chain creatures that you have to run with it, -1, all mean you're playing really good support colors. So for example, Mist Hollow Griffin is a blue creature. That means the deck has to be green-blue. So you get counter spells and interaction to protect your food chain. The other creature, Squee, is red. So I don't think we all need to know what red has in the forms of like all of the strong spells it has right now. Food chain is so strong that it's insane. The only reason it doesn't see play is that it's a turn too slow. You can't really consistently power it out because you need too many resources to. But it's a 2-card combo, usually with your commander being the outlet. But that's super easy to like resolve because it's like after you get the thing that like, oh, here's the other reason why. You can't remove the actual like combo itself. It's super resilient. What are you going to do with the creatures that it uses to actually, like, do the combos? Oh, you're going to exile them. Good luck. The only thing it really falls to is Drenith Magistrate, and that's 1 card. Maybe anything that doesn't let you play from outside of, like, exile, or, like, outside of hand. But, like, that's super hard to deal with in terms of, like, the format, because not a lot of people are running those types of things, especially if they're symmetrical, because so much of the format is Breach, and playing stuff from outside the hand. So that's why Food Chain is, like, continues to win and grind out games is because it's specifically the strongest worst win, the best worst win con, and that you need multiple pieces. Those pieces aren't the same thing, so it's not like you just need like 2 cards that just win you the game then and there, but they're super easy to get. It's hard to get because one has to be an enchantment, one has to be a creature. But if you can manage that by just having 2 black tutors, it's kind of really hard to stop. Unless you're just outright countering or getting rid of the food chain. But even then, green runs the creature that can just get it back. And now that we're seeing a resurgence of Karn, Karn just gets it back. So, for all those people who are wondering why food chain is still winning games even though it's a bad card, it's because food chain is the best in a very specific niche in terms of how do you deal with food chain? And the answer is you can't. You can only outpace it or delay it. Not the actual spell, but I do mean both the spell and in terms of actual gameplay. You have to be faster than it, because it's an inevitability. Much like Tivit, Time Teller of Secrets. However, Tivit's really strong because he goes off with 1 card being Time Thief, so you have to always respect that. But that's another conversation for another day in terms of like why these cards are so strong. But yeah, no, Food Chain is strong because it's so hard to deal with. And it presents wins so quickly. It's just slightly too slow to be good in this meta. Because of stuff like Demonic Consultation, Thassa's Oracle, and like your Underworld Breach Brain Freeze loops that are just gonna be like 4 mana instead of like 6. But that's the thing. That's why Food Chain is good. It's 6 mana, pretty much win the game. Or if you can't win the game on there, people need to start praying that you don't win the game in the next couple of turns. So that's why Food Chain is good, and that's why Food Chain wins games and will continue to win games, because there's not a lot of stuff that deals with it, and Wizards doesn't really want to print a bunch of stuff that deals with it because it's such a non-aggressive thing in the format where it's like everybody doesn't respect it. And so that's why Food Chain wins games. So I hope that explains some of the reason why you see this card and why it's so strong. Because I keep seeing this in like Reddit and like videos about other cEDH players being like, well, why does Food Chain win games? Green's bad in the meta right now. And it's like, it's Green's, like, it's such a good finisher that you can't deal with. It's the perfect Green finisher in terms of encapsulating what Green wants to do. Green wants a win that is safe, I say in quotes, safe, reliable, and trustworthy. Food Chain is that. The only issue and why it doesn't win more games is it's 1 or 2 mana too expensive. And you better pray they don't make a 1-drop that just reads, oh yeah, can be played from exile. In any color. Because then Food Chain is not only back on the menu, it's up there with almost every deck that sees a lot of play now. It's up there with stuff like the Breach decks. It's up there with stuff like Turbo Nas decks. Because you just need 2 cards. And you can't interact with those 2 cards in the same way. It's not like you can, oh hey, I just ping the combo and the combo loses. Like, it can't really whiff. It's super hard to whiff because all the commanders that run it are super good at running it. With the exception of one, with the exception of maybe Tulane, and the only reason I say maybe Tulane is because he draws cards. However, because he also has the ability to return himself to hand at any point in time, it gets over the fact that, oh hey, Orcish Bowmasters exists. So the only reason that like it doesn't see probably more play is the fact that Orcish Bowmasters exists, and that's specifically for Tulane. And maybe Corvold, but Prosh, it wins off of Prosh. Although you need another card from there, but that's still a 2-card combo because you only need Impact Tremors, Food Chain, and your commander does it. He wins the game for you. So, BDK. I don't know what I'm going to call this series because it's probably going to be like, oh, why win cons win? Or like Diabolic Tutor. That probably would be the best name for this series. But yeah, that's why Food Chain wins games. Have a good night, Joel. See you later.